Morning, everyone. I'm Professor Robert Romano. Sorry about not being available this morning due to the weather. I thought it was a little risky for me to come into New York City. I was sure about getting in. I just wasn't sure about getting out. So I thought the prudent thing was to cancel class. And I figured I'd put up this video online of basically everything that we would have gone over in class anyways, and what is going to be on the quiz come Wednesday. Okay? Again, if anybody has any questions, comments about this video or the quiz, please feel free to reach out. You can always email me or call me on my cell phone, which is 203-777-9797. All right, what is licensing? First class, what is licensing? What is meant by that term, licensing? That's what this whole class is about, right? So what do we mean? Okay, what can be licensed? What should we license? Why would we license something? The licensing is the process of leasing. All right, like you lease an apartment, like you lease a car. You use it for a period of time. You have the rights to it. So the licensing is the process of leasing the rights to a legally protected entity or property. All right, now it begs the question, what is an entity or property? Well, for now, the first part of licensing is the process of leasing, using the rights to a legally protected entity or property for a specific purpose. What are you going to use this license for? Are you going to use it to design your clothes in a certain way, use the colors of somebody else's in a certain way? Or are you going to use the licensing on t-shirts, use the licensed property on t-shirts, hats? Are you going to just license the design? Are you going to license a series of hats? It depends. I mean, so you have to put in your licensing agreement what you're leasing the rights for that specific purpose, and for which geographical area. Or will you be able to use these licensing agreement worldwide? Is it just in the United States, Europe, Asia, just New York City? All that is part of the licensing and licensing agreements. So right now, licensing is the process of leasing the rights to legally protected entities or properties for a specific purpose, for a specific geographical area, for a limited period of time. Is your licensing agreement going to be for 6 months? Is it going to be for a year? Will it be for 10 years? Does the value change on the length of the agreement? Of course it does. So you need to be really careful about how long you are going to license your rights out for. And during that period of time, you can't use those rights. You give them to somebody else. So you want to be aware of that. In exchange, the licensor, the person who owns the license or has the rights to that legally protected entity or property, gets a negotiated payment, gets money. Okay? So licensing is the process of leasing the rights to a legally protected entity or property for a specific purpose, for a specific geographical area, for a limited time, in exchange for negotiated payment. My phone just rang, and that's LIM canceling school after third period today. After 1 p.m. today, all classes will be closed. But we talked about entities or property. What is meant by the term entity or property? What does that mean? Usually it means intellectual property, or a legal system that protects intangible goods that have a significant economic importance. Okay? So, entity or property usually means some form of intellectual property, or a legal system of protection of intangible goods that have a significant economic importance. Intellectual property. Owners are granted exclusive legal rights. Now, this is the law. So, owners have exclusive legal rights to a variety of intangible assets. Some of these assets include music, artwork, art, literature, inventions, designs. All these rights, all these exclusive legal rights are protected under IP or intellectual property law. So when you license something, you're usually licensing out your intellectual property as a part of the entity or property. Forms of IP. First form of IP we're going to talk about are patents. We've all heard of the term patent, but what is it? Right? What do we mean by patent? Patent is an exclusive right, or exclusive rights granted to an inventor for a limited period of time in exchange for that inventor publicly disclosing that invention. Okay? What kind of inventions are we talking about? Could be the plane, right? Orville and Wilbur down there in North Carolina invented the plane. So in exchange for that public disclosure of this invention, they are given exclusive rights, right? They are given rights to their patents. That way nobody else could steal their design and make money off it. And usually the patents are for a limited period of time, depending, sometimes up to 20 years, depending on what the patent is. Okay? The second form of intellectual property covers literary work. Copyrights. Right? We've all heard of the term copyright, but what is it? That's copywritten. At the end of the TV show, it's copywritten. Especially in the sports context, what I'm familiar with. This is the express written. You cannot use the rebroadcast without their express written consent of the NFL. They own the copyright to this game. All right, well, copyright gives the creator of an original work exclusive rights to it, usually for a limited period of time. Now they're calling me. All right, so under IP laws, intellectual property laws, copyrights give the creator of an original piece of work, a book, a song lyric, poems, that kind of thing, like scripts to movies, give the creator of an original work exclusive rights to use it for a limited period of time. So if you draft a book or write a book, you own that. You don't want somebody else taking that from you and then monetizing it. So the copyright laws protect you. But how do you protect your copyright? How do you protect your legally created work? Put the little C thing around it. Usually that's good enough. Usually putting the C around it is good enough. What you want to do, though, more importantly, is take whatever work that you created, those song lyrics, send them down to the Copyright Office down in Virginia, get it stamped, and then you're legally protected. Okay? And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to waste that time, energy, and money to send it down to the Copyright Office? Because now you have proof. You have proof that this is your work, that you created this work. No one could come in and challenge it or steal it from you. A third form of intellectual property are known as trademarks. Okay? Trademarks are different than copyrights. Trademarks deal with distinct signs, all right, logos, a distinctive sign or indicator which identifies that product or service with which the trademark appears. It's for you, okay? So it's that unique symbol that is the trademark of a company. This trademark is legally protected. Examples of some trademarks: logos, word marks, slogans. All of these are legally protected trademarks. The Gucci trademark over here. The Prada trademark down below. The New York Yankees word script, that is trademarked. So all these are trademarked. These symbols, these word marks, these logos are legally protected. Someone else cannot use these without the permission of the licensor. Okay? In the sports context, I need to put this in the sports context because it's kind of easy to see how expansive this can be. Let's say you're working as a fashion designer for the LA Angels of Anaheim. Each one of these marks, each one of these logos, the A with the red, the white A, the Angels script with the bent, the different colored words, angels, the angels with the halo, without the halo with the blue backing. Each one of these trademarks, these symbols, needs to be trademarked. Okay? Each one. So the LA Angels, if you're working for the Angels in their design department, each one of these symbols needs to be trademarked. And again, how do you trademark something? You send a copy of it down to the trademark office in Virginia, saying, "This is my symbol. I own this. No one else can use it." To take it to the next step, each one of these symbols has to be trademarked, but you also have to let the trademark office know what you'll be using them for. Will you be using them on hats? Yes. Check. That's one trademark. Will you be using them on shirts? Yes. Check. That's another one. Practice jerseys? Check. Yes. Bobbleheads? Check. Baseball caps? Yeah. Check. And each one you check off, the fee gets higher and higher for that trademark, right? So if you're working on trademarks, you have to trademark each variation of the symbol and for everything that you're using it for. If you're using it for hats, shirts, sweats, practice jerseys, everything, every variation needs to be trademarked with the trademark office. Fair enough? Now think about this. What do you think is the most protected trademark in the world? What do you think it is? Is it the Coca-Cola symbol? The McDonald's golden arches? Nike, the Nike swoosh? The Gucci? Is that the most protected trademark in the world? In actuality, the most protected trademark in the world are the Olympic rings. Yes, they are the most protected. They don't have the highest value, but they are the most protected symbol in the world. They have to be, because the Olympics are an important part, have become a very important part of our culture, our way of putting the world together. Okay? The owner of the property or the owner of the license is called the license holder or the licensor. Right? So if you invent something, if you write something, if you copyright something, or if you own a trademark, you are known as the licensor. You, as the licensor, give that to the licensee. The licensee is the renter of the property. They rent it for a specific period of time, for a specific purpose, for a specific geographical area. Usually in design, in the world of fashion, it's the manufacturer who is the licensee. They get the license from the licensor and are able to manufacture goods in accordance with that license. So the owner of the license is the license holder or the licensor. The renter of the property is the licensee. The licensor, again, grants that right to a given property for a specific purpose, for a defined geographical area, for a limited time. In return, they get a negotiated payment. They just don't do it for free. So let's say you are working for the Cubs. You have the Cubs logo. A company comes to you and wants to use that logo to put on their lunch boxes. You give them that right in exchange for monetary or negotiated payment, money. And they get to put on the lunch boxes the Chicago Cubs trademark. That looks like this. So all the young Chicago Cub fans, all four of them, can go to school and probably get beat up because nobody's a Chicago Cub fan. The money that a licensor receives was considered revenue. Most royalties, or the revenue that the licensor receives royalties. They usually receive a percentage, typically between 5 and 14%. But if you have, depending on your leverage, you can have as much as 20. The New York Yankees and the NFL and probably Gucci and Prada can negotiate up to as high as 20%, or as low as 1%, depending if you have no leverage. But you can get a royalty or a percentage of the manufacturer's selling price, not the retail price, the manufacturer's selling price of each item sold to a retail distributor. Okay? So a royalty is a percentage of the manufacturer's selling price that is paid to the licensor by the licensee. Okay, let me go over that one more time. Royalties are paid by the licensee to the licensor. They are usually a percentage of the manufacturer's selling price. If you have enough leverage, a licensor will be given a guarantee. A guarantee is a minimum amount. So the licensee will have to pay the licensor a guarantee, no matter what. If none of the products sell, if the ideal is a bust, it doesn't matter. The licensee will still have to pay the licensor if in their licensing agreement there is a guarantee. Okay, it's regardless of how many items are sold, the volumes of sales, it doesn't matter. There is a certain amount of money that is paid to the licensor. All right, so the licensor gives the licensing rights to the licensee. The licensee develops, manufactures the product, sells it to the retailer, who sells it to you, so you can wear it to class. Is licensing merchandising a new concept? It's relatively new. Yes, it's been around about a century. Banks in the late 1800s began using licensing as a way to market their bank, basically. In Britain, they used the puppets Punch and Judy. Why? I don't know. Because basically, when you walk into the bank, you got punched. I can't figure this one out. But the concept of licensing began over a century ago, the late 1800s. Banking industry was the first to use this concept of licensing somebody else's trademarks, copyrights, or patents for their benefit. Some history. 1903, Peter Rabbit. If you guys have ever heard of Peter Rabbit, he was a licensed character used by different entities. In the teens, dolls became popular. Mr. Peanut was licensed. Walt Disney in the 1920s licensed Mickey Mouse for school notebooks. Licensing agreement at that time was for a value of $300. So the school notebook company paid $300 to use Mickey Mouse on their notepads. It's probably a good idea, right? If the kid's looking and you're looking at a notepad with nothing on it, or a notepad of Mickey Mouse, mommy, daddy, please give me the one. Pay that extra dollars for the one with Mickey Mouse on it. Licensing continued to grow. And in the 1950s, it started to develop in the fashion industry. Fashion designers such as Pierre Cardin, Cassini, Valentino, I don't know how to pronounce the other one, started using licensing more and more. Also in the 1950s, sports licensing started to become popular. Baseball and hockey started licensing the rights of baseball players on trading cards. So at the same time, fashion started to use licensing, the sports industry started to use licensing. And this kind of merged around in the 1980s, 1990s, the merge between fashion and sport. 1950s also, we had TV, right? TV started to appear in everybody's home. So the debut of TV, Davy Crockett, Hopalong Cassidy, these licensing rights started to build. And in the 1950s, the character, Davy Crockett, was licensed. And the owners of the licensing rights for the character Davy Crockett made $300 million. We're talking the 1950s. Made $300 million. 1970s started the licensing business as we know it today. One of the reasons is Star Wars. All right, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm not a Star Trek fan. I'm not that type. But this business grew into the billions. Licensing rights grew into the billions. Star Wars, George Lucas licensed the Star Wars products to the tune of $2.5 billion in the 1970s. So, because the economics went up, licensing at this time in the 1970s started being thought of as a career. I can make a career. I can make my living as someone who deals with licensing and licensing rights. and selling, hooking up George Lucas with Hasbro, who invented all the figurines. They licensed the right to the characters, put them on the figurines, and made both sides made billions of dollars. 1980s, the accelerated growth of licensing business, again, built upon that Star Wars, but added to with other entities, the Cabbage Patch Kids, if you ever heard of it, the Ghostbusters, all these were big in the 1980s. The characters were licensed. So Star Wars figurines continued to sell. Ghostbusters, the Cabbage Patch Kids, all these goods were licensed to the manufacturers for them to sell. Again, 1980s accelerated growth of licensing business. If we were in class, I had 2 videos for us to watch. I'll show you those next week, or you can watch them yourself. Just go to the YouTube sites. Where's the Beef and Spuds McKenzie. For some reason, those 2 were huge in the 1980s. Don't know why. Watch them. Let me know what you think on next Monday. 1990s. So the maturations of our licensing business. But at the same time, it also shown the first decline in licensed manufactured sales. So we had this 50s startup, build through the 70s into the 80s. And then we kind of capped out. Licensing merchandise sales hit their first ever decline in the 1990s. And then because of this, once we hit the 21st century, the focus on branding changed, right? We needed to maximize our licensing agreements because of the decline in the overall business. So we refocused and we shifted the way we think about branding, about brand extensions, about how we market our products, okay? But in the 2000s, though, we also saw the first time that music licensing began to grow. All right, so at the same time we saw manufacturing licensing decline, we saw music licensing grow. And kind of think about this. Why? iPods, Apple products, Apple licensed the rights to music for you to download. Up till then, you went to the store, you bought your CD. Or when I was a kid, I bought my records. But the music industry began to shift. Right now, we just download our music. We don't go to the store. I could just download music right here in my home. So those rights had to be licensed. Okay. 2010s, we have economic challenges continue. Licensing has become more narrow and strategic. Right, we are focused a lot more, and we'll get into this during the semester on how licensing rights should work, what our strategy should be, while also keeping in mind that the world has become smaller, so our licensing rights are becoming more and more global. So what used to affect us just in the United States now maybe affect us in Europe, Africa, Asia, and the like. It's just some quick notes. Retail sales of licensed merchandise over the years, roughly $90 to $100 billion per year. So this is a huge business. All right, the retail sales of licensed merchandise in North America, excluding Mexico, it's roughly $90 to $100 billion. Think about that. Calvin Klein, $1 billion annually from licensing. Super Bowl, $200 million annually from licensing. That's a one-day event. Super Bowl is coming up this Sunday. Just the NFL makes off their licensing rights alone for that one-day event $200 million. Star Wars to this day still makes annually $20 billion from licensing. It's a huge business, but we are shifting it. We are becoming more focused. We are working on our strategies, becoming more strategic in how our licensing agreements are to be done and how they are to be carried out, especially in the global context. Benefits and risks to licensing. licensing is not a strategy in and of itself, right? It is part of the overall strategy of a business, but it needs to be worked on in conjunction with the other advertising campaigns within a business. Okay, I think that's all I really wanted to cover this morning. All right, so I want you to think about all this. Will be on the quiz on Wednesday. On Wednesday, yes. All this information is going to be on the quiz. What royalties are, how royalties are structured, who the licensor is, who the licensee is, what's the difference between copyrights, patents, trademarks, and the like. The only thing that will be on the quiz, and I want you to look at in the book, are the benefits to licensors and the benefits to licensees. Because that question will be on the quiz. I'm not going to go over that today. I just want to give you something that you need to do over the next day or so. Read the and I also want to make sure that you read the chapter. Okay, so the quiz, let me recap. Quiz Wednesday. I will open up the quiz at 7 a.m. and close it at 7 p.m. Once it's open, you have 2 hours to take the test. So that means you need to log on before 5 o'clock, because at 7 o'clock it'll automatically close. All right. It'll be on chapter 1 of the book. We went over most of the stuff on this PowerPoint. That'll be on the quiz come Wednesday, but the benefits to the licensee and licensor will also be on. We didn't really go over that today. Those answers are in the book. I want you to look at those. All right, we will meet again next Monday, a week from today. At that time, I'd like you to read chapter 2 of the book, and we'll go from there. Should you have any questions, any concerns about the test on Blackboard, any problems, please feel free to reach out to me. My number is 203-777-9797, or you can reach me via email. Have a good day. Enjoy the snow. Looks like school is closed tomorrow and possibly even Wednesday, from what I'm reading here on my cell phone. But there's no school tomorrow, so good luck. Be safe. And again, any problems, any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.